Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here, basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. City creation, basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is future creation. And in this, basically, we are discussing India account. In India account, basically, SBI account, Amazon account, and after 2 days, basically, the earthquake is going to come to India. So, in this, basically, we are talking about one topic that is lava. One person told that lava actually, what is actually the lava? Basically. One person told that what is actually the lava. One person actually told what is actually lava. So lava, one of the person told them the power supply basically which on the base of the projects basically are you are getting. So one person asked the question basically, before company gets the power supply, that power supply basically are passed where basically. That power supply basically passed where basically. Few people says that that power supply basically passes to human body first. Few people says that it passed to animal first and then basically human body comes into the picture. Few people says that it passes to the nature. Few people says that it passes to the private areas. So here basically we are going to take each and every possibilities. First assume that basically they passed the power supply, that is the from lava basically the power supply is passed. In that power supply basically they passed the power supply to a certain level of humans basically. They want to check basically which kind of behavior basically they are doing. Reason, the project basically which is going to be created, it is according to that. For example, there are 300 projects basically which software company is doing. From this project basically 300 projects basically they are doing, and 300 projects basically they are going to generate human needs. In human needs, which kind of human needs basically they are going to generate? First, human needs basically they told that human basically will do work very hard. For example, if he want to work basically for 20 hours a day, so he is going to eat that human needs. Second, basically, he told that basically he want to do some romantic. Romantic means you can say he basically got a marriage basically, and he basically want to have a honeymoon basically. So in that honeymoon basically he's going to have that human needs. So that basically he told that basically his honeymoon basically will become good basically. Then basically the another human need, he told that basically I want to give the exam of any basically. So that time basically he told that I am going to have that human needs. Then basically he told that uh, he want to play too much basically. So for that human needs was there. He want to sleep. So for that human needs was he want to work basically in computer. That also basically he want to do some analysis job. So for that human needs was there. So one person told that once the human need is created, you can't basically recorrect it. Why? Because it's a huge expense. It's a huge expense. So few people tells that basically, especially basically to handle this each and every categories and to test each and every categories. There's 300 projects basically which is ongoing basically, which is going to generate these all categories. That basically before doing the projects, it is checked to the human body. it is checked to the human body. For example, one power supply basically passed to one human body in particular house basically, that is checked by the power companies. The data basically is passed to the human body, and that basically they checked that basically which kind of mood basically he is having. They actually passed which kind of moods basically. They passed that he would be reading a book. So really he was actually reading the book. So they basically checked that also. They basically was not basically into camera basically they had checked. They basically checked to energy basically. Whatever books basically they have he that person basically has read, that energy was generated. So that power data basically was checked. Rest of basically that also romantic moods, then the angry mood, then the reading mood, then the writing mood, then the software company's mood, whatever moods basically. So each and everything basically was checked. After that, basically, the power company told that basically now basically you can start the project. That is the 1 lakh project. Then basically after that basically they started the project doing. Reason behind is they here the possibilities are there. The power company basically are not confirmed that the lava basically data which has generated, that is going to produce which kind of data. Here basically 1 lakh project is ongoing. So to categorize the exact data, this everything basically was done. And after that certain time basically the data was passed to the power company, and that power company basically started doing the project, and exactly that project basically was generating human needs. Exactly same human need basically the project basically generated. He was reading the book whenever basically he was eating that human needs. For example, apple he was eating. So whenever he is going to apple eat apple, that time basically he starts reading the books. Whenever basically he is going to eat that grapes, he basically was playing a good sports. He was basically doing into the. He was basically involved into the sports basically. By default, basically that happens. So according to that, then basically the project created, and then basically they told that basically yes, basically now project has created. Now basically we can launch into the market, and then basically the human needs can be created. This is one possibility. Another possibilities are the power some company basically passes the data to animals. They behave because animal and human basically there is no major difference basically. Rest of thing basically are exactly same basically, but they are animal basically. So they told that basically from animal basically the testing basically happens. So they basically checks, and they say that basically yes basically the power company with the which data basically they have generated today, whatever data basically they have collected, that is this. Yesterday basically data was generated, that was that. So like this each and everything basically was calculated, and then basically it was dumped in the project side basically. So another person told that company basically the uh, company is paying the tax amount, right? So if they are paying the tax amount correctly, then basically the power company is going to pass the data perfectly. By chance basically software company is not paying the tax amount, or basically something basically they are doing, so they basically passes the data without testing basically. And that basically is some personal issue basically, and that is going to create problem to country in future basically. And that is going to create problem to country in future, and then basically to the whole world basically. So another person told that to get the tax amount, he is not paying the tax amount. This type of activity the government is not supposed to do. Government basically is not supposed to do. So that is basically different type basically. Here basically we are not talking about the tax wax, but this is the reality basically. This is the reality. So one of the person told that whenever basically the uh, whenever basically the human is going to generate, sorry, whenever the human is going to do the project, that time basically the data will be perfectly tested. So you can just imagine before the company gets the project, gets the power supply, that is tested through many areas. Lots of people says that it circulates to the environment also. That is the trees, then sometimes basically vehicles, then sometimes the water supply basically which is getting in the lake. Like this basically many checks basically are done. After that basically the company gets the data. So lots of people says that government basically is asking for tax money. Why they are asking? So this is the major reason basically. There are many expense basically behind that. That expense basically they need to take basically. So like this basically they charge the tax. Otherwise basically what is the behind that basically? There is nothing no, basically. Government is basically registering the company. If any task basically related to company happens, then basically they do the process. Rest of thing basically is nothing no, basically. So here the main thing is the power supply basically data which the company gets that are perfectly tested. So government plays very dangerous role basically. One of the person do that government plays very dangerous role, and they basically plays very dangerous role. So one of the person told that one of the person told that uh, you basically went to Bangalore city. That means I went to Bangalore city. There basically I have not got the job, right? That is one thing basically. So one of the person told that that time basically which the project was ongoing basically, that was not connected to me basically. Few people says that technology basically was not there. This was not, but technology everything basically was perfectly fine basically. It was not that the technology was not there basically. Technology also basically was there. Everything basically was there. But the concern was the company basically was not supposed to give the money. Sorry, they told that basically we will not give job to Sunil Arnaya. In that basically they done lots of things. In this basically lots of people say that cyber group is there. They basically blocks the number. Then basically the sometimes basically if you search any content basically in IT industry in Google basically, then basically they do lots of activities like this basically many things basically happens, many things basically happens in that basically they do this type of activities in that basically. Then basically one of the person basically asked the question, the husband and wife basically are fucking each other, right? So that is not crime basically. One of the person told that if you are watching some dirty pictures or basically dirty images, that time basically a cyber group basically says that you are basically why you have watched this data. That is also question basically. Crime basically husband and wife are also doing. So one of the person told that they basically have got the license. They basically have got the license. Then basically again basically one of the like this basically this is about husband and wife. Now husband and wife basically say that basically I am basically not able to become father basically. Then they told that basically everything is fine in your body, basically everything is fine, but you are not getting the perfect energy basically, which is supposed to get basically. So he told that basically your child basically means what basically. Your child is what basically. If child will happen basically, what he is going to do. So that means your child basically is a future basically, right? So that person told that yes basically. So the government basically, or basically the private companies, they are going to decide basically that which kind of future basically you would be having in the form of child. So that data basically are also inside the lava basically. So how many generation, how many population is going to generate from that 1 lakh project, that is also inside the lava sand basically. You will not able to believe it basically. You will not able to believe it basically. So when the companies are doing the project, that is the 1 lakh projects basically, in that in that time period the birth process also happens, and that is basically through the power company data, power supply, and this everything is tested also basically. Before the company gets the project, that basically it is tested. So the birth basically which is going to happen, that from this power supply birth is going to happen, that is also tested. So one of the person told that boy and girl basically do the sexual relationship, and they basically consume basically, right? The girl basically become pregnant. Here the main thing is, first basically, who gets the information that basically I can now become a father, or basically mother. So few people says that basically mother, there are basically few human souls basically which are dumped into the men's body and woman's body both basically. After that basically few certain level of process happens, that basically whenever the human souls basically enters into the body, that basically generates blood cells, but that blood cells basically you can't check into the, that basically blood cells checking basically doesn't happen means whenever you are going to take the blood, that time basically when blood is tested, that time basically the blood, the human souls basically which was inserted into the men's body and woman's body, you can't track that basically. Why? Because that is the souls basically, and souls is the future basically, and which is generated from the power company, and power company is connected with that lava industry basically. That is the data basically, that is the tectonic plates. So you can just able to imagine basically from sand basically human souls basically gets generates. So one of the person told that how basically the combination basically how they decides that basically this person basically this body, this man and woman basically, there are assume that basically thousand men and women basically got married, that is basically samuhik lagan. In that basically how government decides that this husband wife should get this type of child, because all child basically who are going to get the child, they are going to connect to future only, that is a future process. So how they decides basically, that is very dangerous question. Lots of people says that ऊपर वाला decide करता है, that is God basically, but that is also correct. Why? Because the land basically, the earth planet basically which is created, that is from universe only, that is from universe only, that also might be correct. But here the concern is lava generation basically is done by human only. So human only decides that how many population basically we want from this 1 lakh project. So this is very dangerous thing basically, which I just now basically discussed. So it's connected with the population basically. So when the person told that, so you are basically marriage is not happening, reason basically you are not getting the job. So somebody basically might have told that basically Your body basically doesn't suits any of the human souls basically, and there is no girl for you also. So you can just imagine basically that kind of thing also basically happens. So there is no girl for me basically. There is no job for me basically. Even basically having this much knowledge basically. So one of the person told that the child generation basically is the future generation, and that basically one of the person told that from so one of the person told actually that how what is the technique basically which is taking the power data from the sand basically, that is the land, that how basically the power are taken, that basically the human souls get generate from that power, and that human souls basically are filtered and lots of things basically process happens, and then basically uh, they basically are passed into the environment basically. Lots of processes there basically to get one child also basically. The marriage process is very lengthy, but to get one child also basically there is a huge process basically. So from sand basically you get the child basically. Lots of people says that this is basically not related to IT basically, but here the main thing is it's a digital world, and in digital world software industry only allocates the human souls inside the body. So each and every body basically you are getting the birth nowadays basically it's allocated from the digital world. That's why basically software company basically have become very dangerous company and very risky also. Why? Because they are touching each and every human souls, and after touching the human souls basically enters into the both body, that is the human lady's body and man's body, that is the human souls, and after that basically the process happens of the birth basically, that basically everybody knows how basically that happens. Sperms basically are there, then the uh, other things basically are lots of process basically are there. So here basically we can't discuss lots of things basically because it's connected with the medical industry, and we can't basically say that basically medical industry is like this means you basically don't know about the medical industry, but we know that basically the process is like this. So one of the person told that according to that sand basically the power supply basically which is going to get, once the power supply basically has connected to human body, it might possible that he basically gets some disease. So if he will get some disease, then where is the medicine? So before basically everything enters into the human body, the medical industry, that is the healthcare department basically, they checks each and every energies. And if they feel that basically there is some problem in this energy, they basically immediately creates the medicine. And few people basically are very expert that basically they immediately say that basically this is the medicine which is required. And after that basically the medicine is tested also basically, that also in human body basically. So there are many human people basically who are basically earning the money from the company, and companies basically telling that basically this is the person basically you can test the medicine to his body basically. So you can just imagine there are many companies basically who are doing this task only. So from the person told that in this world basically how many types of companies basically are there in this world basically, like this company is there, like this which kind of companies basically are there. For example, one person told that this boy basically and girl basically na, should have this kind of child. So they have the set of human souls that they should basically have this kind of child. So for this basically, which kind of child basically should be generate from this boy and girls, means the marriage jodi basically. For that basically special companies are prepared. Lots of people say the marriage bureau is there, but that basically do only marriage basically. They basically don't allocate the souls basically. Few people say that few matrimonial basically are up to that level powerful that basically they allocates the souls also when they basically gets the marriage. So just imagine basically. So another person told that when basically the lava company basically produce the data to the power company, before the power company gets the projects basically, before the power company basically sorry, the company basically gets the project and they starts the project with their with the power company, lots of process basically are happened from that power basically which is going to supply. Lots of people say that sometime basically the power supply are passed to the power company that basically are after the birth basically of the child. Few power supply basically are passed to human bodies. The girl basically gets pregnant. They basically gets child. The child basically are checked, and after that basically the power supply basically are given to the company. So you can just imagine which kind of projects basically they might be doing. So we will be discussing basically in detail basically about the projects, which kind of projects basically the companies gets. Here the basic thing is the projects basically whatever the projects basically they are doing, they are only going to generate human needs for the human basically. And human needs basically everybody knows vegetables, fruits, oil, petrols, each and everything basically are the human needs. So they only basically going to generate the human needs. They are only going to generate the human needs and which is connected with future creation. Which is connected with the future creation. So in detail basically we are going to discuss which kind of projects basically are there. So here basically in topic basically we discussed what how basically the child process basically starts. So one of the person told that if one person basically is not getting the job, that means there might be many possibilities. One possibility is the projects basically which is ongoing and the power supply basically which is getting passed. That power supply basically his body is not going to suit. That basically is the one of the reason basically they say basically. But here the thing is, even basically lots of people say that he have a good experience here basically. So whatever power supply is going to pass, his body is going to take it basically. So there would not be any issue basically. So that is also that would be also correct. So possibilities are many things basically. One thing basically you are going to do, what would be the result? For that basically possibilities are there basically. So one of the person told that this everything check basically who basically do basically. Lots of people says that Bollywood group basically are connected with set of people. Just listen basically very carefully. Why basically the Bollywood groups takes 200, 300 crore? Reason basically are there. Few people says that Bollywood groups basically are divided into many parts. That if this kind of child basically has to generate, that process basically is done by that Bollywood team. If this kind of child basically has to generate, then the data is passed to the other team basically. Like this basically Bollywood groups basically have a certain level of teams that also we are going to discuss later on, that in Bollywood basically how many types of teams basically are there and how they have how basically they are doing there. task, because they are actually generating the future, they are generating the childs, they are generating lots of things basically, because they are getting 300 crore. It's not a small amount. For example, in software industry, if you are basically vice president and CEO also, you basically can't able to earn 1 crore rupees also per month. But that group basically is earning how much? 300, 200 crores. So the responsibility are also up to that level basically. The responsibility are also up to that level. So you can just imagine basically. So that also topic also we are going to discuss how basically they are connected with the projects. This 1 lakh project which is ongoing, how basically it's connected, how they test each and every power supply data. Lots of people says that Bollywood those they are basically not educated, but their education basically is connected with the creations. Basically. Their Bollywood with their basically education are connected to the creations, not connected to the mathematics, not connected with the science, not connected with the English. Creation basically of the Earth planet basically that is totally different education basically. So that basically they do. For example, one person basically is not. For example, I am not getting the job. I am not basically having the marriage. I am not getting the childbirth. Why? Because without marriage basically doesn't happen. So assume that basically some Bollywood group basically told that basically we can take his case and we will basically do the take the initiative. So they basically taken the case and they basically told that basically we have given the him job. Now basically we will allocate one girl basically to her to him basically, and after allocating the girl, we will be selecting basically which kind of child basically he can have, and this is basically one project basically for them. Like this basically they are connected with how many family members. That is also very dangerous thing basically. How many family members basically they are connected. Few people basically Bollywood groups are basically good people, and few people basically are very bad. They basically keeps on giving punishment. Why basically he has done this thing? He will not have birth. Why basically he has done that thing? He will not get the job. Why basically he has done that thing? He will not get the marriage for girl for marriage. So like these people are also basically there in Bollywood basically. So that depends upon the his luck basically, which kind of Bollywood group basically is doing their task. And Bollywood groups are connected with whom basically? Lots of people says that they are connected with the government basically, but they are mostly basically lots of people says that they are directly connected with the satellites. Lots of Bollywood people basically in Bollywood basically they are directly connected with the satellite group basically. How they basically writes in the books, or basically nowadays basically computers are available, so they basically writes in computer and they basically do the communication that this many task is over of this particular data. So you can just imagine basically the Bollywood groups are highly qualified, but not related to this all qualification. That is the real education basically, which is basically mathematics, science, doctorate, this whole thing that basically. So one of the person told that like this basically they do the communication. But here one thing is there basically related to the lava group basically. The power supply basically which is going to pass to the 1 lakh projects basically, that basically up to what level the checking basically happens, up to what level the checking happens, and after the checking basically how basically they decides that basically this checking is over, and now basically you can allocate the power supply to company. So starting project, getting project, business development group basically gives the project to that particular company. Everything is connected basically. And in that basically, Bollywood group basically plays very dangerous role. Dangerous means very dangerous because they are actually handling the business basically. So in detail, basically, we are going to discuss about the topic that is Bollywood industry also, who are basically connected with the lava groups. Basically, that is the power supply for the 1 lakh projects. Basically. In detail, basically, we are going to discuss that also in next video.